Kia ora mai tātou, ngā mihi o te rangi ki a tātou katoa. Ko te anukuru o tāku ingoa, he Culture Commissioner ahau mō UNESCO. And so we just come together with some of our Aotearoa UNESCO youth leaders, and we've been thinking about this thing Matariki, this thing Puanga. So we thought, hey, let's have a bit of a kōrero. And so I'll just hand over now to a couple of our Aotearoa UNESCO youth leaders to introduce themselves.
Kia ora tātou katoa, ko Ashley Peacock tōku ingoa, he irio no ngā puhi me ngā tuai, ko ngā tikuta me ngā tamanu te hapu. Kia ora iwa, my name is Ashley and I am the chair for the Aotearoa UNESCO Youth Leaders. And yeah, we're just here to have a kōrero, so I'll pass it on to Blair to introduce herself. Kia ora.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Blair Kapatuku ingoa no te kau ahau. I'm a first year UNESCO youth leader and I'm really passionate about Indigenous knowledge and sharing our knowledge that our tūpuna had. So we've come here today to talk about Puanga and Matariki, to just have a conversation with everyone. Kia ora. Looking forward to it. It'll be a good one.
Ai, and he uriau o Ngāti Manipoto Waikato Tainui hoki kei te mahi o te whare wānanga o Tāmaki kei rongi te wānanga Waipapa, Māori studies there. And yeah, this kind of the season of the new year, this season of Matariki and this season of Puanga. It's not something that I actually grew up with, but I was wondering if either of you coming from the newer generations is something that you grew up with either.
Yeah, I guess for me, in particular, it wasn't until I sort of entered the world of university that really the idea of Matariki or Puanga really came into my mind. So I guess it was a lot of being in a Māori environment and really just recognizing the relevance of our Indigenous knowledge really brought forth to me the idea of Matariki and Puanga. So it wasn't until then that I realized, like, oh wow, we actually have a Māori New Year. And so growing up through primary school and high school, it was never really a thing that we celebrated, or I celebrated myself in the north. But maybe it's sort of knowledge that has been lost along the way. And so yeah, I'm on my own journey and sort of figuring out what Matariki and Puanga means and what relevance it has to my community and my culture and my identity. Yeah, what about you, Blair?
Yeah, so you are right. Growing up, you didn't really hear about Matariki much up here in the north. The first time I did hear about it was when our community decided to throw a Matariki ball. Like, Matariki? What is Matariki? What is this for? So we thought of it as the Seven Sisters, and that's where we first learned about Matariki. And then just researching further, you know, asking our old people at home, what do you know about Matariki? And it actually took on a whole new form. It's not just stars, another constellation in the sky. It's a living, breathing tool that people use in their everyday lives. It's been pretty exciting learning about Matariki, to know that it's not just the stars there. It's also about learning how to cultivate, learning to wānanga again together, and just learning about, you know, acknowledging the last year we had, and then planning for the new year to come. It's an awesome thing. It's an awesome journey to be on, to learn about this mātauranga Māori.
Yeah, well, that's your journeys sound pretty similar to mine. You know, and sometimes you're in these roles and positions in universities and higher institutions of learning, and people expect that, you know, you've lived and grown up with this stuff. But, you know, to be perfectly honest, I grew up on the North Shore of Auckland, more or less in a Pākehā way. You know, clearly I was Māori, but didn't have any real connection with mātauranga, didn't have any really strong connection with the marae and the home people. And so likewise for me, a term I'd never heard of until like maybe 15 years ago or so. Bang, Matariki, it was everywhere. It was like this, like I've been living in this world where suddenly, oh gosh, there's a new door had opened up in Matariki, and it was the Māori New Year. And I have to actually acknowledge the Auckland Council there. They had embraced it, and they were putting it forth as the Māori New Year, this thing to celebrate. And being within the university system, you know, certainly was picked up by folks there. And I thought, oh gosh, you know, I didn't know we had a Māori New Year, and that was my ignorance, of course. And then all these other things that went with it, you know, these getting up in the dawn in the morning, and I didn't realise that the stars would set in May and then popped up again. I thought, wow, and it happens on this one day of the year. But as with many things, as we begin to explore them, they're not always quite as they seem when one first encounters them. So actually maybe share us a little bit about what your learnings about what Matariki is for you.
Yeah, kia ora. So definitely growing up in a community where I guess our Māori culture wasn't as prevalent as it is today, it has really just sort of hidden the idea of using our culture as a means for us to reconcile with our environment and sort of how we operate. So I really wanted to bring forward to the National Commission the relevance of Matariki and the knowledge that it comes with. And definitely tautoko what Blair says, it is a living and breathing thing. So for me, I've had to reach out to my elders, specifically my grandparents, and ask them what Matariki and Puanga and what relevance it has to them. And surprisingly, they didn't know anything about it either, really, which was pretty sad because it's a big thing for a lot of our Māori people around Aotearoa. So instead, I was able to reach out to people like Māori Makiha, and he sort of enlightened me about the way they celebrate it and what it means to him. And so sort of delving into that aspect of it and what I can do in my own self to learn about it is just to talk with my elders and have these conversations and be aware that Matariki is here and is relevant to us. And yeah, so it's been a real interesting journey, just actually recognizing that there's lost knowledge there, and it's kind of sad, especially for you know, my own community. Just really identifying that there is a lot of knowledge that we don't retain anymore. So really just reviving that and just having these conversations and really drawing our awareness to the strength in our own mātauranga. So not only does learning about Matariki or Puanga and the significance of the stars, but once you start to learn about that, it opens the door as a gateway to a whole lot of other knowledge that we actually retain in our DNA. It's just about remembering and talking to the right people. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's helpful that a lot of our society is starting to I guess bring back that knowledge and really recognize it and the validity that the knowledge has. So it's really exciting because I'm still on my journey, and really tautoko what you said, Blair, like it's a living and breathing thing. And one thing that I do want to draw on that Matua Ririata talked about is about, you know, how I asked them, how do you celebrate Matariki, you know? And because I said to him, you know, our elders didn't really talk about it, and he said, well, you know, they sort of did things quietly. So I just cracked up because that is definitely true. And he sort of just talked about how when Matariki would rise or would be in the sky, it's a time for him to let go of the year and start afresh, and just start to really think about all the jobs that weren't completed in the last year, and then taking a new stance into how you can finish those jobs in the new year to come. So that was really interesting, and it seemed like it was quite a real a personal thing as to how you would go about celebrating Matariki. Yeah, I don't think I answered the question, but
well, kei te pai tēnā. And so, you know, just picking up on that, we've spoken about Matariki and acknowledging that, you know, none of us are experts, but we understand that Matariki was, you know, initially it was this group of 7 stars, and then now we've learned some information that it could actually be 9 stars. That's the mātauranga being shared by our friend Rangi Matamua. And there's this other thing, Puanga. So Blair, talk to us a little bit about Puanga and your understanding of that.
Yeah, so along my journey of learning about Matariki, I went into the Puanga to talk to some koe and kaumātua there, because Te Aupōuri has strong links to the Puanga. And anyway, I said, how did we celebrate Matariki here in the Puanga? And they said, Matariki? What's that? We celebrate Puangaroa, girl. we should all be celebrating Puangaroa. And so I said, oh, can you talk to me a little bit about that? And they said, well, for us here, we can't see Matariki from where we are in the north. We do see Puanga, however, because it's situated higher than Matariki. And for them, Puanga represented the start of the new year. They say, stand on your maunga, go in the dawn, and as soon as you see Puanga, that's when you can tell that winter is coming your way.
Anna.
Yep.
Yeah, that's neat, and I suppose that's kind of what we're discovering is what we thought was this one thing, by Matariki, which appears on this one day, which was these 7 stars, suddenly is actually so much more than that. And I was like, oh no, Matariki's been colonized. And in a way, the sense of people getting excited behind Matariki and engaging with it was awesome. But we also need to be really careful that we're not just homogenizing, this thing called Matariki, and that even within that, there is so much variation within different peoples. Like you say, Blair, for some people, they never saw Matariki, so Puanga was their star. And Puanga is Rigel up in the sky there for those astronomers, and Matariki is, of course, known as Subaru in Japan, and Pleiades, and we actually could see 9 stars down here. And so it was really interesting, I think, to me, that it's great we're having a national debate, a national discussion, and a lot of enthusiasm, but we actually need to dip right back in and say, actually, what is this? What does it actually mean for different people? So, Ashley, maybe if you could share a little bit around, is it Matariki or is it Puanga for you and your people?
Yeah, so I actually, I refer back to Māori because he seems to be the one who knows about our area. So I did ask him, and he again said that Puanga was the one recognised, because, like Blair said, we can't actually see Matariki, and because we're located in the Bay of Islands, and so one thing that he did refer back to is some of the kōrero regarding when you can observe or see Matariki probably isn't the same for someone who is seeing Matariki from down the line, So for example, our community is a real coastal community. So he said like the environmental indicators are going to be the ones to show you when you're able to see Matariki or Puanga. So like Blair said, Puanga is the one that we see up here. And some other coastal, other communities, I think they use rehua as a marker as well.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to a whaia before, she's from Te Whanua Apanui, and she was saying that their marker, their tohu moana is the running of the, I think it's the moki, is their indicator of when Matariki is in the sky or the start of their new year. So that was really interesting. And again, just referring back to being in a coastal community, the conditions of the moana will really tell you when you should be celebrating the new year. So it is very different across Aotearoa, New Zealand, when the markings of Matariki or Puanga come up, and it's really up to your community to observe the signs of either tohu moana, tohu whenua, to indicate to you when you should be getting in that phase to start recognizing Puanga or Matariki or looking for those stars. So yeah, that's a little bit about what we see, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome, Ashley. And you know what, I'm just going to think back up to the work of UNESCO, and we've got Indigenous knowledge and how it can inform us in ways of doing things better and differently. And we've also got oceans, sustainable oceans, for our future. And what you've said there really highlights to me the importance of that Indigenous knowledge. But it's important we understand the nature and the basis of that knowledge, and not just assume it is this one universal thing, which is Matariki, which occurs on one day, which isn't true. And I understand that for some of the northern peoples. You know, Puanga appeared already, so New Year's happened for them, and yet for others, you know, it might be occurring next month. And it's not that it's less valid for that. It's actually more valid because it's information tailored and bespoke for that place. And I think that's one of the really interesting things in the learnings I think we can bring forward, is actually exploring this notion of starting a new year, starting a new season, but respecting the diversity of the observations. And that's one of the other key things, is that when we're thinking about oceans and we're thinking about Indigenous knowledge, if we just stuck to, say, a Gregorian calendrical system that tells us the new year starts on this day and that summer starts on this day, you know, I couldn't count the number of, you know, all the hairs on my head. People say, oh, winter's late this year. But in a Māori framing, it's like winter occurs when all the signs have happened. So winter happens when it happens. So Blair, I was wondering if you had any kind of comments or thoughts in that kind of space.
Around the New Year's and when it comes?
Yeah, and some of the tohu that you might see, or and how it fits into the wider system of knowledge, and in fact the maramataka.
Well, on that specifically, and figuring out when to have a look out and when to do the karakia, because Ruben Taipari, he actually says that he karangas Puanga, the star, to reveal itself, and he says, yep, it revealed herself, and we saw her. So I know that a lot of people do karanga to the stars for the time to come out. I know our people up home, because we're close to the 90 mile, they'll say, when the kūtai are fat, that's when you know that it's now time for Puanga. But still learning about how to figure out the signs. I still can't actually see Matariki. Some people pointed out to me and I can't actually, I'm like, oh, okay, that's where it is. Yeah, so I'm still learning about those signs. How about you, Ash?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess on my journey, now I know some of the indicators and what I should be looking out for. It's just going out in my environment, and just learning about what happens when this fish comes out, what happens when the pipi are fat over here, what it means, and just recognizing the knowledge that we can learn from our taiao, which is really amazing. And that's really what Matariki has shown, or Matariki and Puanga has shown to me, is the relevance of our environmental indicators and how we can use that knowledge to navigate the upcoming seasons, or, you know, especially in talking about climate change, you know, using that knowledge to help us navigate these uncertain times. So it's really exciting to be able to have thousands of years of knowledge passed down, and we are so lucky to have those tohunga in our communities to be able to share that knowledge with us, especially to help us guide us through the future. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, awesome. And so just picking up from both of your comments there, you know, the maramataka, this stellar lunar ecological calendar, you know, we look for signs from the stars, we look for signs from the moon, and we look for signs, you know, in the taiao around us. And I really like that idea you bring up, Ashley, of actually learning from the taiao as opposing to impose structures and things onto the taiao. And I think that whole ethos of, you know, we actually learn from it, and you know, those seasons arrive when they arrive, does not detract from the fact that the maramataka and Matariki and Puanga and this observation of the new year is still a very highly detailed technical basis of observations through time. And I mean, many people out there will know this already, but it's interesting to me that all of those Puanga, whether it be Matariki or Puanga, they all occur after the shortest day of the year. So they are a reliable indicator that something is about to happen. And then when you get that sign in the moana and you get that sign on the land, but bang, you know, your seasons happen. And so what I think is really interesting, maybe to wrap up this before I just have maybe a final word from both of you, for UNESCO and for Aotearoa, he Māori, he Pākehā, he Ahakokai here, you know, what is the Matariki or the Puanga in your community? What are those tohu in your community? And we, challenge is too strong a word, but we encourage you to get out there and learn from the tai ao again. And I think instead of assuming that us as humans, you know, that we can generate all the knowledge, actually, you know, we're always the students. It's the tai ao that teaches us. So I might hand over now to a final word for Ashley and Blair.
Thank you, Matua Dan. Yeah, totally. Tuakana Taina, we are the Taina to the tai ao. So that is our role. It's a genealogical responsibility of ours to manaaki, to kaitiaki, to our environment, and to be able to do that, we really need to learn about it. And that's a personal journey of my own that I'm starting to delve into. And so I'm really excited for the wānanga to come from this and the conversations that'll arrive. So yeah, thank you. I think Matariki Puanga is a time to start reflecting on those things and start envisioning our new year, what it comes, and also just to recognise what has passed and the people and our loved ones who have passed on as well, and to release them back into the heavens and recognise the stars in the sky. So yeah, thank you for hosting us, Mata, and sharing in our kōrero. I'll pass to you, Blair. Thank you, Blair.
Kia ora, what an awesome, stimulating conversation this has been. For me, like, it's come up with like another personal journey for me to have to go through, like, because I want to, like, I guess my tupuna are calling me to learn about the tai ao. You're right, Ash, it is the tai ao that tells us when the seasons are, and we just need to tune into it again and listen to what it's saying. You know, in this conversation, I thought, oh, are they going to want to know about the celebratory things around Matariki? But there is also the sad part of a loss of knowledge. But we're lucky to have, you know, gems in our community and tohunga who can pass on this knowledge to us. So having this conversation today is a great first step for our National Commission, and it'll be good to just build up on that and build up on our knowledge as we go. Yeah.
Anna. And so, you know, we actually opened up in private with a little karakia, but now I think we'll close us off with a karakia all together now. Whakataka te hau ki te uri, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākini kina ki ota, kia mātaratara ki tai. E hiaki ana te ātākura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu. Hau me hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora mātātou.